Jesse,
Yes,
how you feeling?
I feel pretty good. This is great.
Yeah, let's the fireball. We're ready to go. Let's start off. The master coach of the modern era. Few names command respect like Jesse Reid, a Hall of Fame trainer and a true master of the craft. Reid's influence runs deep through the sport across generations, weight classes, and continents, from Roger Mayweather to Johnny Tapia, for Orlando Gonzalez to Lehman Brewster, from Reggie Jackson to Bruce Curry. He has shaped champions with his hands and sharpened legends with his mind. With 23 world champions and 40 world rated fighters in his name, Jesse Reid stands as one of boxing's greatest teachers, a visionary whose legacy is etching in gold and blood.
Wow. Thank you.
So how you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing extremely well, believe me.
So you're working with you were recently working with Craig Parker, the new NBA cruiserweight champion. Uh, when is he fighting? How's he doing?
He's doing extremely well. We've got him out here right now. In fact, he's living with me where I have more of a hands-on contact. And just a wonderful young man. He's a Mike Tyson, but a clean living Mike Tyson.
Wow.
And I'm very pleased that I'm part of him.
All right. Well, carve your name on hearts, not tombstones. A legacy is etched in the minds of others and the stories that share about you. Shannon Elder, what does it take to be a Hall of Famer coach?
You know, to be honest with you, people judge you. I think it's by trying to be an honest person, look eye to eye with your athlete, know that they have the same feelings that you have. They're trying to do the best they can, and at the same time, you have to be honest with them when they're doing things wrong. And that's a hard thing sometimes. You know, I've been around guys like Tapia that just I don't think he would have fought after I started with him with anybody else but me. He was like a son to me. You treat him like they're your son. And some kids are very difficult to treat like sons, but you got to do the best you can. It's not an easy thing to answer. There's so many things involved.
And like we were talking earlier, fighters are different.
Definitely. When you talk about troubleshooting, there's been some times that I've had to troubleshoot. But I think honesty and God's help and is a beautiful thing. And I just like I say, you have to look them eye to eye and tell them sometimes things they don't want to hear. Bruce was a great example of that. Johnny Tapia, Paul Spatafor, Reggie Johnson. The beautiful thing that boxing does for you is you never forget their names and the times you had with them and the moments that you spent with them. And it's more than just the sport. It's the love you have for the individual. Not only you love them as a person, but you love them for what they are. The kindness, the hardships. You try to love through that, and it's not easy to say.
It's a tough sport.
It is a very tough sport.
You also had many other great coaches you looked up to and worked with. Who are those coaches who influenced you in your coaching career and success in boxing?
Well, I was around guys like Angelo Dundee, Eddie Futch. Jackie McCoy was my coach, and Eddie Futch and Jackie McCoy were out of the Hoover Street Gym. That's where I got my start. I also started in the military, which was really unbelievable that I even got a chance to be a fighter in the military. But having the Navy behind you and the responsibilities is scary at the most parts. But I took it on. I'd rather have dodge a punch than a bullet. And it was during the Vietnam War, and I was drafted in the service.
And you were talking about fear.
Fear is a beautiful thing if you know how to handle it. There's a lot of fear in the sport, believe me. It's not only the fear of the promoters, the managers, the people around you. You got to know. I think God kind of guided me. I'm not trying to say I'm this religion or that religion, but I do believe in God, and I do believe that He steps in at times when you need that help. And He's helped me a lot. I can't even believe that I heard you say I've had 23 world champs. I've had 32.
32.
And I can't even believe that myself. I thank God for it. Through fear of Vietnam, made a good fighter out of me. Naturally, you have to have the physical ability. I never even dreamed of being a boxer. But when the chief of naval personnel came to me and said, Jesse, you played football for the LA State on a scholarship, and you played for the Navy. I played football in the Navy. I was in special services for 6 months. And he says, if you get on the thing that we do all year round, you can stay in special. I said, what's that? He said, that's the boxing team. I says, you know something? I've always loved boxing, and I love what it does for people. I said, you get the orders ready. I'll make the boxing team. I not only made it, I had something to fight for. I had people that believed in me. And that's a beautiful thing. When you can walk into a gym or around anybody and they know who you are without you even saying it, it's a good feeling. And it's hard to come by. You know that.
So boxing found you.
Boxing found me. God found me. And He said, Jesse, in my own feelings, help these kids because it will do them good, you know. And I've always followed that guideline. And I think you know that, John.
Yes, I go through that. Full disclosure, I am a boxing coach and
A
I work
great
with-
boxing coach.
working with other champions. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud that I'm a part of this with you. I'm happy to talk about boxing. I love it. I think God has helped me get to this point, and I want to do what I can to do anything I can to help it. Believe me.
So Jesse, we're talking about why fundamentals are important.
Well, you know, not everybody has great fundamentals, but it doesn't mean it's not important. It's very important. The basics is a very important thing. But you also, it's like a kid that can dance without a lesson. You know, when you find those kind of kids, which I've been fortunate enough to come across, it's not like all that we do teaching. It's what we add to that. And fundamentals is what comes into play. The fundamentals of boxing, it's easy to say, oh, I can dodge this punch or that punch. You better have the good fundamentals and know how to turn your shoulders, how to block punches out in front of you. It's not always blocking them with your head or your legs. It's knowing to have those reflexes. That's a God-given talent. And a lot of these kids, they have this talent. And you got to be able to know it and see it and teach it, you know, and that's not easy sometimes.
What do you think of fighters from the past and today?
Well, you know, it's hard to say today the fighters are better than the kids that were back.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's having that fear factor that you can handle. Be able to be under fear and be able to handle it in a relaxed motion. And it's a dedication that you put to it, the spirit you put to it, the heart is very important. You got to know that this is something that can change your life, and they've got to be told that. Sometimes, if you look at Johnny Tapia, when he fought Danny Romero, there was only two people that knew he was going to win that fight. I went to Top Rank, and that's when days were either you fought this fight or you don't fight. You know, it's tough. It was tough. And I told Johnny, I says, let me tell you, Johnny, they all think you're going to go crazy. Bruce Trampler, Bob Arum, they all think you're going to go crazy, and Danny Romero's going to knock you out. But I'm going to tell you something, son. Look me in the eyes. You're going to win this fight. And you're not only going to win it, you're going to be able to control your temper, and you're going to outbox him. And Johnny did that, exactly that. He
saw
had
the
fun.
fight, yeah,
I
I
told him,
watched
the announcer says, what does Jesse mean, go out and have fun in this kind of a fight? I told him, go out there and have a good time because you're really going to enjoy yourself.
And you knew him better.
I knew him, and he looked at me, and it's hard to say. You know it, and I know it, that when a fighter can look you in the eyes and he says, Jesse, we're going to have fun tonight. I'm not only winning this fight for me, I'm winning it for you. I knew we were going to win it. And we did.
Well, training Roger Mayweather, the Black Mamba, where did he get that name Black Mamba? Do you know?
Well, I think he got it through the amateurs. I really can't answer it correctly, maybe, but I think that the Black Mamba was a name that really fit him well. He was an angry soul that in certain points you had to control that anger, and that's very hard to do. And I don't know, I just was honest with, there were times that I quit him. I quit him 2 or 3 times. But both world titles he won with me. And because he trusted me. If you look at any photos that we took together, his eyes were in that corner, were pasted on me. And he listened to what I told him. I'm not saying I won the fights, but I think the trust we had as two human beings was a great trust. And it's hard to explain, but I could look at Roger and tell him, you do this and you do that, and he'd do it, even if he was afraid of it. Sometimes fear makes you do things you don't believe you can do, but he did, and he won both his titles with me. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying there's a feeling you have, you know that feeling, that you have in a ring in the corner. At that 1 minute that you're talking to that human being, you better be telling him the truth. And if you're lying to him, shame on you. Don't lie to him. Sometimes you might tell a little story, but you know that little story might turn into a big, big honest story. That's the time you might say a story.
I want to throw this out there. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
Roger? Yes.
You're that.
Yeah, Roger changed. He took his anger and had his brother's son that he loved, and he helped him to be the great fighter that he is, Floyd Mayweather Jr. And I'm not just trying to say this, but I think I told you about it. The father walked up to me one day and he said, hey, Jesse, what are you going to do with that paisano? And I said, who are you talking about? He says, Paul Spadafore. And I said, what do you mean? He's an undefeated fighter. He says, he's not fought anybody. Let him box with my son. My son will knock him out in 1 round. I says, you're not going to knock Paul out in 1 round. And he laughed at me. His ego was so big, but he was a good trainer too. And he loved his son, but he had a different type of personality around his son. Roger was not training him then. Roger trained him while Floyd was in trouble. At the time he got in trouble, Floyd Jr. was being trained by Roger Mayweather. So Roger's sitting back and he goes, man, they better quit talking to Jesse like that. He knew me because I was training Roger. And I turned around and I looked at Roger and he says, Jesse, what are you going to do? I says, well, we're getting ready to fight Cardona for the world title with Paul. I don't think his managers would want me to let him fight with Mayweather, you know. And he goes, Paul heard it, and he heard what he said about him, and he walks with me and says, Jess, what do you think? I says, let's go talk outside. I don't want to be talking where people can hear what we're saying. And he said, Jess, he says, I want to box with him. I just feel I can do something with him. I said, I know you can, but your managers might fire me if I let you box with him right now. You're getting ready to fight for the world title.
Oh.
He says, I don't care. I don't like the way he's talking. And this was early in their career. They both were 21.
Wow.
And they both were undefeated. And Mayweather's cocky and laughing and giggling. He learned a lot from that day. So I says, listen, we'll come back the next day at the Golden Glove gym. I believe in you, Paul. You listen to me, and you listen good, you're going to beat this guy. And he goes, Jesse, don't worry, I'm going to beat him. He had that confidence. Sure enough, we did 6 rounds. Mayweather comes over. He says, I'll knock him out in 1. I says, you ain't knocking anybody out here in 1 round. And the father's talking all this nasty talk. And Paul's smiling at me. And in fact, I got it on YouTube right now. And he won every round. And that's where Mayweather is not a dummy. He learned a lot from that fight, that sparring match. And he's gotten better. But Paul Spadafore that day showed me that he's going to be champion of the world. You know, those moments in boxing. And to make a long story short, Paul, I've got records of it. It's sitting right on a tape. And I put it out there every day so Mayweather could see it. Talks about he's the greatest of all times.
Talking about Mayweather, Roger Mayweather fought Julio Cesar Chavez twice. How did that go?
The first time he got stopped in the first round, I quit him.
Okay.
He was getting cocky, and I quit working with him. Well, he got stopped. So then they come back, and they want to do it again later in his career. And I told Roger, I said, Roger, you listen to me, and listen to me good, because I think everything's going to be against you. I said, now they think you're this and that, and they're going to really, really try to capitalize on you.
This is a tough fight.
This is a real tough fight. And when we got to the arena, everybody's talking, everybody's thinking Roger's going to get killed, And Roger felt that way. He felt like, well, the Ellisboro, the referee, was, to me, I got him barred from boxing. After the fight was over, the things he was doing were not right, and I got the commission to say, Jesse, if I had a kid fighting, I want you in the corner, because I got kicked out of the corner in the 8th round where the referee was holding Roger, and they were hitting, and Chavez was cracking him. And Roger looked at me, and he goes, where you going, Jess? I said, they're throwing me out of the corner. And I says, well, what can I tell you, son? I just do what I told you. You're going to win this fight. That's when I knew that Roger needed me. He really needed me. And I went out there, and I'm mad at 2 bodyguards are walking me out of the forum in L.A. And I go, they say, hey, man, you're on your own. They're throwing all this stuff at us, and they left me by myself, and I shot into the curtains. And all this stuff come flying out of the stadium, because I got in there and I just did some things that I was angry about what was going on. So anyways, Roger quit in that fight when he said to me after I talked to him after that, Roger, why'd you quit? You were winning the fight, which he was. And he goes, I thought when they threw you out of the corner, there's no way I was going to win. That's what he told me. And I said, Roger, I'm not going to train with a fighter. I've never had a fighter count at 10, you're out, my whole career. And I pride myself on that. And I said, I can't work with you anymore. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm done. And that was a real disappointing moment where Roger, later on, I took the scorecards and showed him, you were winning that. And I won the court battle.
Wow.
I had never been fined in boxing, I was at that time, by the referee kicked me out, but I got that referee barred for life. He was throwing the fight. And I mean, it's out there in the open. I mean, I'm talking about it right now. So If I'm in there, you have a fighter fighting like you would have a fighter fighting, that kid's not fighting alone.
No.
Your heart and soul is right with them, 100%. You know, but if it's a wrong deal, get your tail end out of
Yeah.
there. That's hard to do sometimes.
What makes guys like Johnny Tapia and Paul Spadafora so tough?
They know they know how to handle anger. They know how to handle people booing them. When you get people booing you, and this is one thing that I've always told my fighters. If you go somewhere in someone else's hometown and they're booing you, and you change those boos to cheers at the end, no matter what the score is, you won, son. You won. That's what boxing's all about. That's what I loved. I loved it because it's you and another guy. And all of a sudden, you got 7,000 Navy guys cheering for you. Talk about pressure, you know, and you're representing the Navy. When you get in that ring, you better fight, buddy. Or you're going to get thrown out of there, you know. And you're not only fighting the fighter, you're fighting for people to love you. That's very important. Not only love you as the fighter, but as a person. It's very important. And I think you know what I'm saying.
Well, tell me, what does it take to train a guy like Johnny Tapia?
A lot of patience, because whenever you're great like Johnny was, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be somebody that is trying to steal what you're doing. And the closeness you have with that fighter that didn't even have to work for it. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
And I think that certain fighters know that and they respect it. And I think as coaches, we have to try to draw from that and gain that respect. That respect is so important. And eye to eye is the main thing. It's being able to look that person in the eye and know he's telling you the truth. It's not just talk. It's the truth.
Yeah, it's everything behind the truth.
Yes. And that is difficult.
What do you think of Crawford?
I love Crawford. I love him because he's loyal to the people that are around him. I just think that the loyalty, the respect that he gets from everybody, it's a beautiful thing. I love him as a fighter.
Did you watch the Canelo Crawford fight?
I did. I don't bet on fights. I don't bet on sports. But I bet on that fight. I bet that I was going to bet he was going to stop him. Then I said, nah, don't be cocky. But I bet $60 and I won 144. Because there was something about Crawford that's very special. As a trainer, you know what I'm talking about. He can look you in the eyes and you know that he's telling you the truth. And he knows not to say too much. But when it's time, he performs, he talks with. It's that what I was telling you, when that crowd is booing you and they're cheering you, you're something special. And he is special. He's a great fighter.
And it's not just the abilities, he's also intelligent.
Smart, intelligent, and knows who he is. That's hard to explain.
Yeah.
You know, you hit the nail on the head. You got to have that feeling and know in your heart, not only just the fighter, it's the people around the fighter. They got to be in a positive way, in an honest, positive way. Always try to be honest. That's hard to explain, but it's that they know you're coming from your heart.
And you're talking about how many years of boxing? 40 what? Almost.
Probably have half of more than half. I'm 82. I probably have.
Right?
And I never dreamed that I'd be a boxing coach or a fighter. And I know that. I know what it is. I'll tell you, when the chief of naval personnel said, Jess, you make the boxing team, you don't have to go to Vietnam. And I looked him in the eyes and said, you get the orders ready. I'll make the boxing team. You talk about motivation. And then when you have 7,000 Navy guys that are coming there wanting you to win, that's hard to explain. It's just something that it brings the best out of you. And I kept saying to myself, man, you're not sending me to get killed. I'm so thankful that I'm alive. I can't even believe it. I feel very fortunate, but I know that God put me on this earth to help other people, and that's what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do right here is the same thing, to give guidance to young kids that maybe have been through tough times and know that they can do it and know that you're a part of that. It's hard to explain, but it's a proud moment in your life. Yeah, Vietnam I was afraid like no. I went to the hospital when I went to Yokosuka, Japan. And I talked to the young boys because I was drafted out of college. I was on a scholarship playing football, and I go, man, God, I got on my knees at night and I said, God, if there's anything you can do, I don't want to lose my leg or my arm or die, but I don't want to let my country down. And I kept saying, what the heck can I do? Because when this chief told me that and I had a chance to box, I says, man, I'd rather dodge punches and bullets any day. And I said, I'm gonna train like a madman. Maybe I overtrained half the time, but I went from 180 something pounds, which I weigh right now, down to 165.
Oh,
You know, I says, whatever it takes, you ain't sending me to Vietnam. I'm not afraid to say it. But if I had to go, I would go. I mean, I love my country. But at the same time, I don't want to die either. I think I have a better purpose in life, and it ended up being that way, which I'm happy about. Boxing
Jesse,
did that for me.
who are your top favorite boxers?
Jeez,
Let's say like just a handful.
just a handful?
Yeah, just 5.
Well, I'll go with Orlando Canizales. I started him at 14 years old. He was champion for 8 years. Very quiet young man that could fight his tail end off. You got to go with you got to go with Roger Mayweather. He won 2 world titles with me. He was a great fighter, but he didn't live clean. You got to go with Camacho. I trained Camacho when he beat Sugar Ray Leonard and Duran. Late in his career. And boy, you talk about, I don't know, they called me a troubleshooter. I don't know if I was a troubleshooter or what. One day I'm out there, when I went to Puerto Rico with him, he was such a kind person. He let people come in his house, and I'm staying with him. And he'd let them come into the house, and he didn't even know them. They were just people that loved him. And I was scared to death. I thought, what the hell is he doing? Then I was a landscaper at that time. Out of college, I was going to be a landscaper. And so I said, let me cut your grass. I cut his grass. People be coming in the gate that he didn't even know. And I'm going, Camacho, I'm out here killing myself trying to keep this place clean, and you got all these people coming in here just throwing crap everywhere, you know? I said, this is crazy. But that's the way Camacho was, you know? He didn't care. But he has to be another one. He was so fast and so clever. Reggie Johnson. I mean, I can go down the line. I mean, Malik Scott, believe it or not, he's
Yes.
a big trainer. I trained
Yes.
him to 2 of the best fights he's ever been in, and he could have been a world champion.
Yeah.
But the day when he fought that one fight, and he's looking out there, I think it was his best friend. He's helping him out. The world champion that was I can't remember his name now, but unbelievable. Malik Scott had so much ability, and he's He's sitting there looking at the guy with the referee's counting. I'm going, I'm done with you, buddy. That's the last I'm going to train you.
Well, training Mike Tyson, how is that?
Oh my God. I got a call from Shelley Finkel, and actually that they wanted me to train Mike Tyson. And Tyson lived next door to Wayne Newton, and I went over there with my wife and my daughter. And by the time I got through the gate, everybody thought I was somebody that was going to take something away from somebody, you know. They're calling me all these nasty names and everything. Who are you, white man? And all this kind of stuff. And I said, I'm here to train Mike Tyson. Well, Shelley Finkel comes running out of the gate with those two lions over there and, by the house. And he said, that's Jesse Reid. He's going to be training Mike Tyson. And, you know, and I just was scared to death, you know, to be honest with you. So I get it. I told my wife, I said, hon, just keep calm and just see how he is. So I put him on some hand pads and did some things with him. And the next thing I know, he cracks me, hits me in the chest. He wanted to see how tough I was. And I'm coughing. You know, I said, what the heck? You don't hit your trainer. He says, you take a pretty good punch, Jess. I said, I'm not here to take a punch. I want to see what kind of a fighter you are. To be honest with you, Mike Tyson has a very good kindness about him, but he's also had a lot of people around him that weren't good people. And I told my wife, I said, I don't care what money's involved in. I can't train this guy. Because Crocodile and all these guys are saying, the Jesse's trying to change your way of fighting and stuff. It isn't going to help you. And I said, Mike, if you turn your body, you have great reflex, you got good speed, but you got too many negative people around you. You need to be around positive people. Well, everybody, I guess, thought they were threatened by that. And I says, you know something, son? I don't think you've ever heard this before, but I'm not going to train you. I can't compete with all these crazies. That's what I told him. And I had Johnny Tapia fighting it was a Hilton Hotel, I think, at that time. And Tyson comes over to talk to me one more time, and he said, Jesse, you really are not going to train me? I says, no, I'm not. There's not enough money in the world to put me through all that. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it. And he was shocked, you know, and he came over to my apartment to talk to me. He says, there's nothing against you. I think you're a great fighter, but I don't think I could teach you. I don't think you'll listen. And you got too many bad people around you, and I got to get out of here, you know, and I got to take care of Johnny's fight. And I left. About 6 years later, I see Mike Tyson at Taco's gym. And he walks in, Jesse, I'm going to say this one time. This is the truth. He said, I wish you would have trained me. I said, I do too. I'd made a lot of money. But I said, it was too much. And he says, you were right. He said, you're right, Jesse, what you said. And I said, I wish I wasn't right. You're a great fighter. But he had a lot of ability. But I wish I could have trained him, but it wasn't right. And I just walked away. People don't know that, but that's the honest to God truth. And Mike Tyson, he respected me. He respected me for that. And I don't think he'll ever forget that time at Taco's gym.
Well, a great coach not only sees who you are, but also who you can become, and won't let you settle for less.
That's
Boxing
true words.
coaches, and how can you find a good boxing coach?
You have to see what's inside of that person. You got to be around them for a while. Like you and I used to talk on the phone years ago, and I knew that the dedication that you put in the sport, the way you moved from home to go out there and be up in the mountains with people, and the heart you had, the drive, I knew you were going to be a good coach. Hey, I've had 9 guys that I've trained that are top trainers today. Roger's one of them, you know. Uh, I mean, I just, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging because I don't mean it that way. I want to pass on to good people like you're doing right now. You're passing it on to me, and I'm passing it back. That's so important. There's too many bad people in the world that want something without having to work for it. You got to work for it, and you got to understand it. And
Why is it important to find a good coach and trainer?
that's somebody that's coming from their heart, telling that other fighter if he's got the ability. You got to know if you're training somebody, if he don't have the ability, you're just conning him. That's not going to do it. A good coach would never do that. He would know when he's got good people. It doesn't mean that he doesn't need to be taught the fundamentals or the skills. He's either got to have the speed, the heart. Number one, the heart, and the drive, and the hurts. They got to have pain in their life. I'm not saying everybody has to have pain, but pain's a good thing if you can handle it.
Well, addiction doesn't steal your life overnight. It takes its place, it piece by piece until you no longer recognize the person in the mirror. Every sip, every hit, every high takes you further from who you were meant to become. Drugs and alcohol addiction affects a fighter's career. What do you think of that?
That's absolutely truth. You know, there's so many things that are not, I don't know how to even speak about it. I mean, but if person's on drugs or drinking, like Paul Spadafore, was a special human being that had something very special that grabbed you. He had pain in his life. He had people that had passed away, different than that, but he handled it at that time. But at the same time, he felt he belonged there too. Paul's out here right now. I brought him out here because I want him to remember the beautiful things that he's done in boxing. And he's a coach, and he's a good coach, but he still has that drive of that addiction that he's battling all the time. I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong, but I'm going to tell you the love that he has for the sport, and he knows he has to pass that on to somebody else, is the thing I'm saying he's going to win with. I'm praying that he wins with it, and he battles that every day. And it's easy to say this or that, but it's not easy to do.
And someone that was special to you, like your son.
Yes, he definitely was special to me. He still is. Every time I call him, I don't call him a lot because I don't want to throw it down his throat, but I just call him to find out how he's doing. And I tell him, you're like a son to me, and I don't want you to hurt yourself. I know what that pain is. I was around it. My dad was an alcoholic. My brother died from alcoholism, not drugs, alcohol. My son, who was a beautiful human being, at 41 was gone because of alcohol. And I tell Paul, I tell almost anybody that I know that it's involved with something like that, I tell them, you got to win that battle. You need psychiatric help. You need somebody that can help you to get through that battle. Once you get through that, then you can go on and do what you're doing. You're a beautiful person when you're around boxing. When you're not around boxing and you're drinking, you're a completely different person. And I've been around it. I know it. When it changes your personality, look out. It's a scary thing.
Without struggle, there is no progress. Frederick Douglass. How was it working with other great coaches?
Oh man, I mean, when you look at Eddie Futch, guys like Jackie McCoy, Thel Torrance. Thel Torrance is 90-something years old, a great trainer, very smart man. I've been around when I boxed professionally, I went to the Hoover Street Gym. That's right in Watts. Things are a little tougher now even than it was then, and it was scary. And I mean, me and Frankie Crawford are the only two white guys in there, you know. That's when I was fighting. I came out of the service, and I walked in there, and Jay Shugru says, "Hey, white man, what do you want?" I said, "I'm looking for Jackie McCoy." He says, what are you looking for him for? I'm going to have him train me. I didn't tell him I was this or that. I just said, I want to have him train me. He says, "Yeah, well, go over in that corner and practice falling down because you're going to find out what life's all about." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Every guy in this gym is going to kick your butt." And I go, "Why do you talk to me that way? I mean, you don't even know me, you know." But that was a lesson that you learn. And I had to get through that, you know. And I went over and I talked to Jack. He says, Don't worry about it, Jesse. Jake is a realist, you know. He's going to just tell you the way it is." And I said, "Well, you know, I didn't say that I'd done this or that, but I had won all kinds of tournaments, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. By the time I left there, I'm going, wow, man, they're going to try to kill me here, you know." But that's what started me off. You have to get through that. You got to be able to handle that and keep control and know who you are and know what you stand for. I mean, there's so many stories. I mean, it's and there's so much fear that you go through, but you got to get through it. Not only through just the fact that sometimes it's harder to fight somebody because of the politics of the game, not because of anything else. I mean, but at the same time, you want to make sure you give it all you got. Otherwise, then they're going to just say, "Hey, that's another white boy that can't fight," you know.
Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. Khalil Gibran. What does it take? What does it take to develop a world champion?
A lot of patience, understand who you're working with, know if they've got certain things that are inside of them, knowing that if they've gotten through pain. You got to have a little pain. So I don't know how much, but you need pain in your life. You got to know how you can handle it and under control. I mean, every fighter that I've talked about had pain in their life, you know. But they handled it. And you got to know when to fight and when not to fight. And that's where our coaching comes in. And you got to know that our coaching is so important, not only to be able to handle the pain that they might be going through, you got to be able to be honest with them and tell them the truth. That's so important. And I just think that you need a piece of pain, and you need to know that this is a life and death situation. You got to be able to handle it to live. Hey, I'm 82 years old. I still weigh 180 pounds. I sacrifice all the time. I'm not running like I used to. I'm walking a little slower. But God gave me a good brain. And the beautiful things that's happened to me in my life, I'll never forget them. And thank God, you know. And just be around. I'm so lucky now because I'm around a lot of good people. But I'm passing on some of the things that got me to where I am. And I think it's important to know. You got to have some pain in your life and get through it. And I think everybody has some way of saying they have pain. I'm not afraid to say I'm afraid of Vietnam because I'm in another country. I've never been around where people are shooting at you or wanting to kill you. Yet I've had fighters shoot at me because of their pain, But I don't know. You got to know how to handle pain and handle it in the right way. I know why I don't drink because I've been around a lot of pain, and I know that it hurts people, and I know it hurts bad, and I never forget it. And I say, don't put yourself in that position. And I never did. I've never been a person to drink because of the fear of what it does to people. That's what I'm talking about, fear. I have that fear. I'm not afraid to talk about fear, but I'm also not afraid to talk about the love that I've had and the respect. That's even better than fear. That's about the way I can say it.
Well, compassion isn't weakness, and it's the highest form of strength. Dalai Lama. Where does your compassion come from helping people, especially when you see fighters struggling?
It goes back to what we were talking about. There's a certain spirit that you see in somebody, and you know that you can bring the better things out of that. But it can't be lies. It can't be saying, oh, you can do this or that. It isn't about money. It's about being honest. Loving somebody, and I'm not afraid to say there's a lot of people that I've loved, truly loved and respected. And I love the game of boxing, and I know the responsibilities of it. There's and you got so many people that are trying to get what you have without even working for it or having the pain or the things that you've gone through. I mean, I could tell you a million different stories. I don't know. There's been a spirit, I think, that has kind of guided me and luck that have put me in certain positions that I can't even believe myself, but here I am, and I'm still doing it.
Your reputation isn't what you say, it's what people see you do and when no one is watching. If you want respect, show up with discipline, not excuses. What do you think of people taking credit and credit not given? You have to earn it.
That's going to happen. It just goes back to what I just said. There's so many, but hey, I've always wanted this Hall of Fame Nevada ring. Not showing it off, just respect of the ring, knowing that the pain I went through and the respect and the love. Love's the strongest word in the language of English. It's a beautiful thing, true love. Everybody says, are you real religious? I think so. I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm religious. I just know that I'm in a special place, but a lot of pain came from that. And I'm trying to keep it where it's honest, that I can pass on what I've gained. And I think I've tried to do that. I remember when you and I would sit down and talk on the phone once a month, every 6 months. But when we did, it was valuable. It was whipping pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was telling you the truth and telling you that you could do this thing, and you were telling me about fighters that you had, and it just was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you
and
know
look
what?
where you're at now.
That feeling of pain is different, right?
Yes.
Because nobody knows that feeling. And sometimes, you have to hold it inside of you because it's so painful. But you can't tell nobody because, you're up there. You're the coach, and you hold with a lot of responsibilities, and there's no weakness here. You have to be tough. And that's not You're built from pain, and pain can make you better and make you worse. But us coaches, we've been through the hell and that storm, and we have to go through that pain to make to build who we are right now. That's why
There,
we got champions.
that's exactly right. I mean, you could speak and say you do this, you do that. That isn't it. It's something else. There's a spirit that kind of guides you, I mean, hey, once that light shined on me, I knew that when I saw somebody that I had a responsibility, not only to make that kid better as a person, but as a citizen, as to take him from the pain he was going through and make him better at handling life. That's a beautiful thing. That's more valuable than anything else. To know that like Bruce Curry, they call him a borderline schizophrenic, but he loved me and he respected me. And yet he did some things through pain that were very difficult. It's hard to explain, but we got through it. And he won the world title. I remember picking him up. I said, "You crazy son of a gun, you just won the world title." And he looked at me and I could see that smile on his face. And I knew that I was a part of it, just like you know what I'm talking about.
And hearing that one voice and the right people in place, why is it so important?
Oh, God, you can't even put a price on it. It's not always about money. It's about a special feeling that you have to take somebody that everybody says, why you spending the time with them? And then all of a sudden they come back a year later and they go, wow, that's amazing, I don't want to say, I'm no psychologist or no genius or anything else, but I do know that when I tell somebody something or if I'm looking at them, it's the truth, I felt it, you felt it.
Yeah.
You know in your heart that you're telling somebody something that's going to come true. Maybe just the two of you, When Johnny beat Danny Romero, nobody could tell me that he was going to lose that fight. I even bet on the dang fight. And I don't bet on fights. But they were so cocky. Mayweather, when he boxed Paul Spadafore, he was so cocky. And I've been around people like that. And in my heart, I wanted to shut him up. But I didn't want to do it with my mouth. I wanted to do it with boxing. And Paul looked at me and he said, Jesse, when he says, what do you think? I says, geez, Paul, I might get fired for putting you in there. He says, Jesse, I don't like the way he talks. I says, okay, then we'll go to the Golden Gloves gym on Saturday. And I says, I'm going to be right. Only two people know that you're going to do a job on this guy. And he did. That's what, to beat the cockiness or the craziness, to win in your heart that and have it on a video, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. It never leaves you. And you pray to God that you never forget about it. So it's easy for me to talk about it, but it's not easy to do.
Well, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Tim Noak. There is no substitute for hard work. Thomas Edison. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Robert Collier.
Looks like you've done your homework here, buddy.
Well, can you explain the difference between talent and hard work?
Well, it's not easy to explain. Talent is something that is God-given. Certain kids have it, but mentally, there has to be talent too. Not only physical, it's got to be mental. And they got to know in their heart that they have it up in their head, and they also have it in their body. But fear comes into play too. You got to be able to handle fear. That's not easy to explain. It's like I said, it's just something that you feel in your heart. And when two people feel it, wow, that's a gift. And believe me, boxing brings that out. When you can feel all the fear in the world, but you know you're going to do the right things and put them in the right situation, that we're going to whip this fear, you know. It might not just be you. It might be, that, which is really beautiful, and when the fighter's doing it. Like I said, when I picked Bruce up, it was like I won a battle, not only fighting the guy, but fighting the fear of the sport, the politics of the sport. When you win that, you win a big thing in boxing. And we've been there. People would say, hey, Jesse, you're crazy to put this guy in with this guy. They're going to get, when Bruce Curry fought, Monroe Brooks, everybody said Monroe Brooks is going to kill him, you know. And I says, well, you're entitled to your opinion. And Bruce didn't like Monroe because they liked the same girl. And that was kind of a way I could kind of let Bruce know that the way you win this, Bruce, is you stay under control and listen to me, which I knew he would. I says, and you'll win this fight. You're not only going to win it, you're going to knock him out. And he's never been knocked out. Not even Duran knocked him out.
Whoa.
So Bruce knocked him dead in the 7th round. And I swear, it was like I got on my knees and I said, God, thank you so much, you know. But I felt it. I felt that spirit that he was going to win this fight. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
The politics of boxing is we're fighting a Jackie McCoy who trained me, fighter number 2 in the world. Bruce was just coming up, but he didn't like Monroe. But I controlled his anger, and I made him do what I told him. And I didn't make him. He wanted to do what I told him. And he knocked him dead, you know. I mean, I hope I'm not saying something, but I mean, it's a fact. It's on tape.
No, it's a fact.
It's a fact. But I'm loving it that I could talk about it because it's more than just the fight. It's what a fight does for certain people, for myself, for Bruce, for Johnny, for Paul, you know, Reggie Johnson, Malik Scott, all these guys that I've trained. I mean, hey, Lamont Brewster, my heavyweight champion, when he fought Kazniewski, everybody thought he was going to get killed because he's fighting him in Germany. And I looked at him and I says, Lehman, you listen to me. And I didn't tell him just to be telling him. You're going to beat this guy because they don't know how good you are. And let me tell you something. Watch the tape. In the 11th round, the guy from Germany, the coach, is standing in the ring. You got the fight won. Don't worry, you're winning on the scorecard, which he had been down 3 times. And I told him, you get out there and just keep doing what you're doing. Don't you quit in this fight. You're going to win this fight. You're going to knock him out. What did he do? The fighter from Germany, Kazniewski, tells his corner, he's standing on the ring, which is illegal, telling him, you got the fight won. They knew the score and everything else. And he goes, you get in and fight him. I've had enough. I quit. That's how bad he got the heck beat out of him. So, I know what it is to go to somewhere else and like I said, you get that crowd cheering for you. Those people that were booing him, Lehman, they were cheering for him. And Lehman heard that. He knows that I'm telling him. I said, listen to that crowd, buddy. Those guys are wanting you to do the job. Don't look at that other coach. He's doing everything illegal. And boxing's not all illegal.
Yeah.
But it is tough.
Yeah.
And you're talking about tough times. I love getting through those tough times. And I
That's what
love
we're
what it
made
does
of.
for us.
It's a warrior's heart is built in silence, strengthened in struggle, and revealed in battle. You can't teach heart. What do you think of that?
Oh, I think that's a good statement. I mean, your heart, the pain that we talked about, you got to have some pain and get through it to have heart. You got to have people look at you like somebody saying, "What do you want, white boy? Go over there and practice falling down." You got to be able to get through that and say, "Hey, I'd rather be doing this than getting shot in Compton. You know, I'd rather be throwing slipping punches." And I'll teach that. You got to have something inside you that tells you, you don't have to talk about it. I'm going to show this guy. And I'll tell you what he said to me, Jake. He said, "Hey, go over there and practice falling down." 2 years later, he says, "Jesse." And I said, "Yes." He says, "You're one tough son of a gun." That was the best compliment I think I've ever gotten in my whole life, that he told me that. I knew that I changed his mind from the guy that thought this white boy is coming in here to get killed to say, "You know something, that's one tough son of a gun." That made me feel so good. It helped me to be the coach I am.
Your legacy is written in the moments that no one sees and remembered in the lives you change without asking for credit. What do you want to leave behind? Um, your legacy.
I think it speaks for itself. But this is a beautiful thing we're doing. What you've done today is brought out some stuff that I've kept inside of me for a long time. Boxing's not bad. People can say whatever they want. It's bad if the people around you are bad. It's not a bad sport. It's a great sport. It's something that we've always had all of our life. You got to be able to get through struggles. But this is better than getting shot at, than going out in the street and somebody won. There was one time a young girl got hit by a car in Compton, and I was coming with my son, and he was young at the time. And I said, "I got to stop and help that girl. That guy just took off. And she was a black girl, and I don't even remember her name. And my son said, "Dad, you can't go out here in Compton. They're going to think you did it and kill you." He said, "Jesse, that girl needs some help." And it was raining. And I got out and I got her down and I calmed her down and I used some of my boxing psychology to tell her when my son's calling the ambulance, and when they come, you're going to get help. Don't worry, you're going to be all right. That girl did make it. But the neighbors thought I did it. And they're yelling at me. And that girl, when she says, "No, he didn't, he's helping me. He didn't hit me." She saved my life. And I'm going, my God. I mean, I thought they were going to kill me. But I did it because I couldn't go by that and see that girl get hit and some jackass takes off and leaves her there. I just felt, I'm not trying to say I'm this or I'm that. I'm just knowing that moment changed my life.
Do what's right.
Do what's right. Do what's right. It's just scary. I mean, it was scary. I'm not kidding. But I did it, and that makes me whatever. But I know in my heart that I'm not just me. There's something else that's helping me to be who I am. And I'm working like crazy. I'm 82 and I'm still coaching. I don't know. I love it. I love the
Well,
boxing
thank you,
sport.
Jesse,
Thank you.
for show.
Thank you
showing
all.
up, and we appreciate you, man.
Oh
You done a
man, I'm
lot in
so
the
happy.
sport.
This is give another look at what boxing is really about. It's a beautiful thing if you handle it right.
I just want to mention about Mastriani Fashions, men's award-winning clothing store in Las Vegas. Check them out. And my hairstylist and barber, David Vargas. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.